In this video, I'm going to show you how to field strip, clean, and lubricate your Taurus GX4 pistol, so stay tuned. I'm going to go over a couple things that I'm going to be using to clean this gun in case you guys are interested. The first thing that I highly recommend is using some sort of gun cleaning mat. I like the Tech Mat brand because they come in a bunch of different sizes, and depending on what type of gun you have, they can have your type of gun, and it kind of lists out a diagram of the parts and things, so that's pretty cool to have. But not only does it protect your surface from getting scratched up or anything, and then your gun as well, it also keeps the chemicals from bleeding through to the surface below. So even though I'm on this desk here, this mat will keep the liquid from seeping through there. So highly recommend getting something like this. There's a few different brands out there, but I like the Tech Mat specifically. Another thing you're going to use is some sort of gun cleaner. There's a bunch of different brands out there. I particularly like Ballistol, so that's what I'm going to be using. And then some sort of lubricant. Ballistol can also be used as lubricant, but then these precision lubricators will kind of come in handy. You'll see I have Breakthrough, Shooter's Lube, and Hoppy's 9, just to show you a couple different ones. And then some sort of gun cleaning patches. So you can use patches, t-shirts. You can even use paper towels if you want to use those. Just something to get the gunk out. And then some sort of brush in case you get a lot of stuff in there. You can pick these up for pretty cheap. There's ones that are kind of like a toothbrush, and then there's some with some metal on there. And then some sort of rod or bore snake. So this is a Glock cleaning rod I'm going to be using, or you can use the ones that come in the gun cleaning kits, the long rods with the attachments, or what I specifically really like, it makes life a whole lot easier, especially on long guns, is a bore snake. So I'll show you how to use that once we get to that part. So I'll kind of show you how I use these things as we go through. First, we're going to go ahead and field strip the gun. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and do a safety check, make sure everything is clear. So you're going to see the magazine release button on the side here. We're going to go ahead and press that in and drop the magazine, set that aside. And then we're just going to pull the slide back, make sure the chamber's empty. There's nothing in there, as you can see. And we're ready to move on. On the other side of the gun, you'll see this takedown pin right here. And this is what we're going to use to actually take the slide down. Now this one actually came with this little keychain with a flat edge on it. If you don't have one of these, you can use a flathead screwdriver, whatever will fit in here. But we're just going to go ahead and turn this a quarter to the left, basically counterclockwise. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but there's an unlock icon right there that shows you which direction to do it. So we're going to go ahead and rotate that all the way to the unlock position. And then we're actually going to pull the trigger, and then if it doesn't slide off all the way, go ahead and just turn that a little bit more to the side, and it unlocks the slide, and then pulls right off. So we're going to go ahead and set the lower down because that's all we need for that. And then for the rest of the upper, to take the recoil spring and guide rod out, just kind of push it up and forward, and it'll come right out. And then take the barrel and then just lift that out like that. And then this is about as far down as we have to take it for this cleaning that we're going to be doing. First thing I like to do is actually spray all the parts down. So I'm just going to take the barrel and spray the inside of that with the Ballistol, and then just kind of spray the outside of that. And then I'm going to take the patches here. I'm going to get these wet and wipe down the inside of the slide. And you want to wipe it down to where you're not getting any gunk in where the striker is, which is right here. You want to make sure you don't get anything down in that hole. So I like to hold it like this to where that hole is pointing down. That way you don't run an issue into something going back up in there. You can use a wet cloth and go through like that, or if you just want to spray directly into the slide, that's up to you. Just make sure you have it pointed down, and then just get all the gunk kind of loosened up in there. And then if there is a lot of buildup in here, this is where these brushes come in really handy to really get that, loosen up that gunk in there. So just go ahead and kind of wipe it down if there's a lot of stuff in there. Get everything loose. And depending on how dirty it is, you can let that sit, wet it down a little bit more. But you see, this one isn't that dirty. So I'm going to take one more wet cloth and wipe it through here. And this is basically up to you how clean you get your gun. What I like to do is get it to where I'm not getting any gunk or black stuff on these pads here. So I'm going to wipe these down, and then I'm just going to keep going through with dry cloths and wiping down all the parts inside the gun. And if you have trouble getting into some of these tight crevices, that's when these picks come in handy. They come in like packets of 5 or something like that with different shapes. But these come in really handy because if you can't get into like some of these areas, you just put your cloth down and then use the pick to kind of get in there, especially where the slide rails go. It's kind of nice for that area. I'm going to take another clean cloth and just keep getting in these crevices with this pick. And then you can also wipe down the outside of the slide if you need to. Use one of these or a paper towel, whatever you want to use. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and call that good for this video. It looks pretty clean, not a whole lot of gunk coming back off of this, and I got it all dry. All that cleaner is wiped up. So I'm going to go ahead and put the slide to the side. And then we can move on to the barrel here. So what you can do is take patches or paper towels and then just wipe down the outside of all that gun cleaner that we put on there. And if you have any buildup on this, again, you might see some along here. Take your brush or a wire brush and you can break all that up. I'm actually going to take a paper towel to finish wiping up the outside of this. All right, so when we move on to cleaning the inside of the barrel, this is where you can use a rod and brush attachments, whatever you want to do. This actually came off a Glock. I really like these just because they're smaller, but if you have one of those longer ones, you can use those, but you can attach this like this, and then you're gonna use this and kind of run it through here to break up all the buildup inside there as many times as you want to. Just a few times is probably fine. And then what we can do is start taking patches and running them through until they start coming out. And depending on how dirty your barrel is, you can spray down another cloth and keep running it through there, whatever you want to do. What I really like though, and it makes it a lot easier and less time consuming, is these bore snakes. And they come in all sorts of different calibers. So this one is 9mm for this gun. Probably a little overkill for this small little barrel, but this definitely comes in handy with long guns. So you just drop it in one end and then you're gonna literally pull it through, and you'll see it has bristles on the end to kind of break some of that stuff up on the inside. And we're just gonna run that through. Usually 2 or 3 times is pretty good with this as far as running it through. All right, and then whenever you're done with that, just go ahead and hold it up to the light, and then you can kind of see how dirty it is or clean. And this one is actually looking really good. Like I said, this is pretty much a new gun, so not a whole lot of stuff in there. So I'm gonna call that good. Run it through as many times as you need to until it's like as clean as you want it. And then we can go ahead and wipe down the outside of the barrel again in case we got any of the gunk on here. Give another good wipe down with a wet and dry cloth. And that is pretty much all you need to do for the barrel. And then for the frame, usually not a whole lot that you have to do with this, but I'm going to take some of these patches, wet them down, and then just kind of wipe down the frame. And then from there, I will start taking the dry patches and then just wiping all of the gun cleaner out of there and any gunk that's coming off on here. You might see some black stuff around here just from shooting, so make sure you get all that off of there. And again, this is where you can use one of these picks to get into some of the areas that you need to. Go along these slide rails here, get those nice and clean. See a little bit of black stuff coming off there. That's looking pretty good. So we're gonna go ahead and call that good. The recoil spring guide rod, usually not a whole lot that you have to do with. You could wipe it down real quick if you want to, but usually you don't have to focus on this too much. All right, and so that's pretty much it. At this point, the gun is cleaned, and now all we have to do is move on to the lubrication. There are several different ones. Like I said, you can use Breakthrough, you can use Shooter's Lube, all sorts of different ones. What I'm gonna be doing is using the Hoppe's 9, just because I have that. And so we'll go ahead and start with the slide. And I like to take the precision bottle, and really the only place on the slide that you need to oil up is the slide rails. So right here where these go, and this is where the precision lubricator comes in handy. You can actually get inside those slide rails and just do a fine bead right there. Now, if you don't have one of those, you can take one of these bottles that has the drip function on it, and then kind of on the edge here, place a drip, and then hold it up like this, and then that way gravity will do the work for you. And then anywhere else that you may see wear spots as you shoot this gun, maybe there might be some down here where the barrel rubs, you can go ahead and put a drop of oil right there or anywhere else, but really just the slide rails is where you want to focus most of the attention with the slide. With the barrel, what I like to do is just kind of put a nice coating over the whole thing. You'll probably notice some wear around here. Just anywhere you see some of the finish coming off, make sure you get that coated with some oil. And you just need a light coat, not a whole lot on the barrel, but I just kind of like to go ahead and coat this whole thing. Yeah, not too much, just a light coat. And focus on those areas where there's the finish coming off. And that's pretty much it. Now for the frame, again, if you don't have the lubricator bottle and didn't want to do the slides in this slide right here, we can go ahead and take this and actually go on these metal parts and put a couple drops there, so that way when it connects with it, it'll work. And that's pretty much all you have to do on the frame, not a whole lot there. All right, so the final part here is putting this thing back together, and it's basically gonna be reverse of what we just did. So we're gonna take our slide and hold it like this, and then I'm just going to drop in the barrel, and it'll seat in there just like that. I'm gonna take the recoil spring and guide rod, and we're gonna insert it here, and then kind of push in, and then on the barrel, there's a little lip right there that it's gonna sit on, and I'll show you here once we do that. So just kind of press it in a little bit lightly, and it'll kind of just seat itself in place once it's in there. Get the hang of it, it'll just be sitting just like that. And then we're ready to go ahead and put the slide on the frame. Just line them up. Go ahead and lock it all the way to the back. So you're gonna push the slide back and lock the slide to the rear, just like that. Hold that up. And then if that didn't go ahead and reset to where it's locked, you can take your flathead and move it over. But in this case, it already went ahead and went back into the correct position. So now we can just release the slide and we're good to go. What I'll do now is take a paper towel and just wipe any excess lube or gun cleaner off the outside of the gun here. And then I like to just do a function test, make sure everything is working. I'll rack the slide a few times and also get some of that lube spread out and working. And then I like to pull the trigger, and while holding the trigger, I like to rack the slide and then listen for that reset, make sure everything is good, and you're good to go there. And then just put your magazine back in, and that's it. That is how you field trip, clean, and lubricate the Taurus GX4. If you guys have any questions, let me know down in the comment section below. It may seem a little hard at first if you've never cleaned a gun before, but it will become second nature the more you do it. It just takes practice. And then once you find the tools that you really like, make it a lot easier for you as well. So just takes practice, keep doing it, and then you'll get the hang of it. But if you have any questions, let us know down below. Again, if you're interested in any of the cleaning products that I use, I'll post a link in the description below to what you can still find on Amazon. If you can't find what you're looking for, check your big box stores. They have a lot of other options as well, or even online. And if you want to watch more videos on how to field strip or clean other guns, check out this playlist up here. And then if you also like the Second Amendment, check out our podcast playlist over here. Thanks for watching.